This is Todd Proffitt with the State University of New York at Fredonia. This is for lighting, introduction to lighting and sound tech. We're going to start with the controllable qualities of sound. First thing, before we start talking about the controllable qualities, just have to talk briefly about what is sound. Sound is vibrations through water or space. The speed of sound is 1,128 feet per second and 770 miles per hour. It's measured in wavelengths, okay, and it vibrates spherically. But it diminishes as it travels. Based on the inverse square law. Well, how do you hear? Those sound vibrations come and they go to your inner ear and they vibrate different things in your inner ear, and then your brain then translates those vibrations into sound. Briefly, I just want to touch base about a decibel. What is a decibel? A decibel is, oops, sorry about that. A decibel is how we measure sound. And the smallest audible sound we can hear is at 0 decibels. A sound that's 10 times more powerful is 10 decibels. 100 times more powerful is 20 decibels. 1,000 times 30 decibels, so on and so forth. Just to give you an idea of where that sort of falls, near silence is 0. A whisper is 15 decibels. A conversation is about 60 decibels. And let's just check that right now. Oops. Ha! You don't need to see that. Well, just showing you my credit card. It's nothing important. Okay. So if I go over here, let me go to my decibel meter. And so right now, this conversation just happens to be around 76, 77 decibels. You can see that on the meter over here. Now what I was doing is I was changing the dial as I talk louder, as I talk smaller. So if I were to actually whisper, now I know that my whisper is really quiet, but I'm also really close to it. Also, let's check and just see what the noise level is in the room. So just the noise level in the room is around 58 decibels. Now, why is that so loud? I'm sitting right next to my computer. The fan is running. It would probably be a little quieter than that if I was somewhere else. Okay. Just to give you an idea of some more things that the decibel meter is, I can actually show you on this app. So a conversation we said is about 60 decibels. Vacuum cleaner, 70, you can look through here. But where we're going to start doing damage to our ears is once we start getting above 100 decibels. Also, damage to your ears or damage to you has to do with how long you're actually listening to it as well, if it's any sustained time. So you can do things like listen to a loud gunshot, which might be 90, 95 decibels really quickly. It's not going to do a lot of damage, but if you listen to that for a longer period of time, it will. So that's basic decibels. That's just some basic stuff I wanted to talk about sound. Let me just show you. Here's a picture of a wavelength, just a couple of different wavelengths of sound. This one's one of my favorites, and I'll talk about why just a little later. Okay, so those why sound. So what are the controllable qualities of sound? The controllable qualities of sound are first, frequency. Also known, the musical term for that would be pitch. It's the measure of cycles in hertz. The faster the frequency, the higher the pitch. Okay, the human ear can hear from about 20 to 170 hertz, and as it moves through the ear, the frequency doesn't deplete, just the intensity. Just to show you some different size sound waves. So this is 2700 hertz, and I've got the intensity pretty low. But let's just go ahead and play that real quick, and I'll show you how that as we increase or decrease, how the sound changes. So that's 200. So let's take it a little lower. If we take it lower, then the waves are going to get longer. Okay, and it's going to be a deeper sound. These are longer and deeper. Now I don't even know how much that's probably actually coming through, but that's 50 hertz. It's a really, really deep voice. But we can start moving it up, and as the frequency gets higher, it's going to move more, but it's, again, we're all at the same intensity. All we're doing is changing how quickly they move. All right. Now that might have been a little too loud. So let me go ahead and stop that. So frequency is the first thing that we can control. The next thing we can control is intensity. That's the volume. So even I can keep the wavelength going exactly the same, but I can increase the volume or the intensity. Okay, that's the height of the sound wave. It's measured in decibels, like we talked about before. 0 is the threshold for hearing. You're going to instant harm is at 160. And loudness is subjective. Loudness is it's who's listening to it actually decides whether something is loud or not. And that's one of the challenges of sitting in a theater is trying to mix it so it sounds good for everyone can always be a challenge. Now, the other thing that we can control with sound is we can control the duration. We can control how long it lasts. It can be really fast sounds or really long sounds. But that's definitely one of the things we can control and we can use to affect. And when we talk about some of the functions, we'll talk about some of those things. Direction. We can control which way the sound is coming from. That's going to tell us a lot. That's going to tell us that maybe it's coming from a distance. It's coming from stage left or stage right. It may be specific for the show itself. Surround sound. You know, you can not only do, but you can also engulf the stage in sound. Okay. The next thing we can control is timbre. All right. Timbre is where we're playing the same note, but we're playing the same pitch, we're playing the same intensity, but it just sounds different. That's why I like it's really the tone or the quality or the color, okay, of the sound itself. These wavelengths aren't just even wavelengths like we're seeing here on the app. They're actually more like this. They shake, they harmonize, and it's a different harmony that creates that different tone. Okay, instruments, they can play the same note, but they can be different. But they're going to sound different. Let me go to GarageBand for a second. Okay, so this is C4 here, and we're just going to play it on the piano. Or this is probably on an organ. Okay, so that's the same note, same intensity. Now let's play the same thing on a different thing. So let's just go back to the classic keyboard. That's the exact same pitch. Turn that a little bit. That's the exact same pitch. That's the exact same volume. It's just a different timbre. Car horn bass. Ooh, oh no. Let's find C4 again. And haha, I just crashed the app. How good of me. I'm going to pause just for 1 second and fix that. All right, I'm back. So the timbre, like I said, is the quality of the sound. The next thing we control is the envelope. Okay, the envelope is essentially its intensity in relationship to duration. And in envelope, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different parts. Let me just show you the picture here real quick. First, we have the attack. That's where we go from 0 up, and it gets a little high, and then it's going to decay a little bit. Okay, the sound will sustain for a certain amount of time, and then it's going to release. It's that relationship, and every sound's going to have an envelope, and we can change the envelope for different sort of dramatic effect. So if you want something that's going to be really fast paced, it's going to have a really fast envelope. So if I were to take and I were to tap here, you know, it's a really fast envelope. I can create tension. It can become really annoying, okay, because it's got a really fast attack, high attack, quick sustain, and a quick release. But I could find something like, you know, much longer thing. If I just hit the table, it's going to hold and go out just a little longer. But I can change the envelope for different dramatic effect. The last thing we can control is. Sorry about that. One more little glitch there. I accidentally hit pause on the recording again. I was going to say there was one more thing we can control, but there's not. I actually had repeated directionality twice on my list. That was all. Again, let's just go over those one more time. The controllable qualities of sound are frequency, intensity, duration, direction, timbre, and envelope. Now, I will post all of these notes on our on-course site, and I can also put a link in the YouTube notes as well. Thank you so much.